And so you start to see that God has this way of working things for good. You saw this biblically in the life of Daniel. See, Daniel was a young man, a teenage boy, 13, 14, 15, that area. Can you imagine, especially if you got a son, a middle school age, that kind of age, son or grandson? Can you imagine that boy being taken from his family, from one day to the next, not with his family anymore, and being placed in a situation with people that didn't talk like him, didn't believe like him, people that didn't pray like him, didn't serve the same God that he served? And that's what happened to Daniel. From one moment to the next, he was placed in Babylonian captivity. He had to go to a new school. He had to learn new things. There was a new language to be learned. There was new people that he had to be under, and he had to follow suit, and he had to follow in with the things that they were doing. But all through this, you see God. God did not want this for Daniel's life. He didn't intend for this to happen. But you watch God use this in great ways, right? You watch someone like Daniel start to thrive in the environment that he's in that wasn't the environment that he was supposed to be in. Think about that. Sometimes you're in an environment right now that you didn't ever imagine, or you didn't feel like you were ever supposed to be in. You're like, I didn't think this would be a place that I would ever be in my life. It's not something that I pictured for my life. That's where Daniel was. He was in a place that he probably never pictured in his life, but God gave Daniel the ability to thrive in that environment and still serve God, even though he had to serve these other evil men. We don't have to get all in that story right now, but we can see that in Daniel. You see it in Joseph. That his environment would change from moment to moment. He would go from being hated by his brothers to sold into slavery to being misunderstood and taken advantage of by someone, to be thrown in prison, right? Then to be placed in a palace. All of this was not like part of Joseph. Even though he had dreams and God showed him things in the future, he didn't understand how all this would come together. All of this wasn't really part of the plan necessarily. But you see, and it even says in Scripture, that in whatever environment Joseph was in, God was there with him. And Joseph succeeded in whatever he did. And so, we can't put our thumb on it and say, oh, everything that happened in Joseph's life was what it was intended to happen, and it all happened for a reason. No, God made what was bad, he made it good. And actually, it even says that in Scripture. What the enemy, what was intended for bad is what Joseph said to his brothers. What was intended for bad and for my bad, God had made it good.